And welcome to another episode of JRPGs Me, the series. Well, I get a guest on and we talk about JRPGs, funnily enough. And today I have Jaymz from the Review Ting. Jaymz and Review Ting, they do variety videos such as retro, teardowns, and all sorts. Am I right in saying this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're a mixed bag of absolutely everything. For us, it's just a mixture of everything we love doing on YouTube, everything we love looking at on YouTube. And yeah, it's me and my buddy just doing what we do.
Before we carry on, yes, I have had a shave. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, I look 12. Let's move on.
No, let's not. I wasn't going to bring it up, but it seems as though you did.
Well, come on, it's going to be said, so let's just get it out of the way. It will grow back. It's really annoying, I know. Anyway, so what I like to do with this is I kind of build up a JRPG profile to see where Jaymz's heart lies with JRPGs and build that profile around him. So I've got a set amount of questions here, so we'll just get cracking on with the knacking, and we'll start off with, and I know what the answer is going to be to this one, but what is your favourite JRPG, and does it have a 7 in it?
Well, I was thinking about what it could have been. I don't know, me and you, John, we may have had a conversation about it once or twice. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy 7. It's always going to be Final Fantasy 7. There's a reason why there's a Buster Sword up on my wall. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely adore Final Fantasy 7. It's just one of my favorites. So yeah.
So, what actually? No, I know the story, but what actually dragged you into Final Fantasy VII? Why is it your actual favourite JRPG?
Wow. Okay. So, growing up, I had a Game Boy, and I wouldn't say Final Fantasy was my first sort of JRPG. I'd say Pokemon was, but Final Fantasy VII was given to me by my brother. My brother had a PlayStation back in the day, and he would just get all the latest games that were out on PlayStation, and then when he didn't want them, my dad kind of just went, oh well, I'll buy them off you and give them to me. So that's kind of how I got my hands on it. And do you know what? I was the fat goth kid in school. I didn't really go out and socialize too much, and my favorite pastime was to sit down and play Final Fantasy VII. And just PlayStation games in general. And do you know what? I just sat down and it just clicked with me. There was just something about it that really gripped me. I mean, the story is amazing. There's a reason why we love it so much, And yeah, for me, growing up, that game was a game where I just played it and played it and played it. I think the first time I played it, it took me about 3 years to complete. Like from beginning to end, because I would just do everything in the game. And it was the first time in my life where I was that attracted to a video game that I just stuck with it, and I just absolutely loved it. So yeah, it was my first bay, if you like. It was my first bay.
It's when you said there, I was the first game I was attracted to, and in my head, music just went. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like.
It was my first love, okay? We don't...
Lying beside the fire, stroking your PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try and Photoshop that.
Oh no, what have I done?
It's like some
yeah, hell yeah.
That's what we secretly do.
Gotta love it.
Okay, well we know that Final Fantasy VII is your favorite JRPG, but what is your favorite JRPG series? Because not everyone, everyone likes their Final Fantasy, but Persona could be your favorite JRPG series. Tales of could be your favorite. So, what is your favorite JRPG series?
Yeah, so I'm completely in agreement with that. As much as I love Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy as a series is probably not up there as my favorite. My favorite definitely would have to go to the E series. That series is another series that I absolutely love and adore, and I don't really think any of the games that I've played I've disliked. I've liked them all. I've played Origin, E7, Oath of Felghana, Arc of Nephthysism. They're all just really solid games, and unfortunately, the one thing I will say about that series is they're kind of generic-y in the sense of like the story kind of always starts off the same. There's a character Adol in there, and he always kind of like wakes up a bit dazed and confused and not really know what's going on, and it's all that sort of thing. But do you know what? I absolutely love that series. I think it's a fantastic series of games to play, and if you haven't, recommend going out and checking it out. It's a lot of fun. So yeah.
Rule of thumb is do not get on a boat with Adol, because no doubt the boat will crash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's as generic-y as that always is. I always have a good time with that series. It's just a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. So yeah.
Well, we'll have to check the release date of when the first Ys game came out, because you know Titanic did happen. So.
So the very first game I believe came out on the Master System. I think that was the system. I think that was 1983, something like that. I don't know. But even those games are great. They remade them for PSP as well, which is great. So
holding back.
Say nothing, boyo. Say nothing. You got this.
Right, so we've talked about favourites so far, so Final Fantasy VII, Ys, which is great. But what's the least favourite JRPG you've actually played? What's the game which you considered utter dog shite?
I'm just trying to think now. There's a Star Ocean game on PS2, and I did not like it at all. Something Time, it's ringing a bell. You've probably got it. That's the one, yeah, Till the End of Time. I did not like that game. I tried my hardest to really get into it, but there's something about it, it just didn't click. And I remember playing maybe about an hour, and then after an hour going, I don't get this. I don't like it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Just didn't like it.
I thought you were going to talk about faithlessness integrity and faithlessness.
I've never played it, so I couldn't say.
Well, I don't think you want to.
No.
If you see my recent video, you don't want to. As Lucas from Fiato Gaming says in that video, why is this game so shit?
God damn it, this game is
That was hilarious. Yeah, no, the little elbow drop at the end was pretty good as well.
But yeah, okay, no, I mean that's fair enough. That Star Ocean's been sat on my shelf for a while. It's one of my pals passed it to me, but I need to set up a PS2 again. The last JRPG I played on that was Valkyrie Profile 2.
Excellent.
Isn't
that the one you made? Sorry to interrupt, but isn't that the one you made me buy when we met up?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Valkyrie Profile 2, because you were looking at different PS2. You had like a PS2 thing going on at the time. So I think that was maybe the day that you bought Drakengard as well, I want to say.
I did. You're absolutely right.
So yeah, I remember that, and I think you did actually buy Valkyrie Profile 2.
No.
No?
Oh no, Valkyrie Profile 2. Sorry, I thought you meant the Star Ocean game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, okay, cool. One thing with JRPG fans, and it's the constant debate, is what combat system is better, turn-based or action-based combat?
I'm gonna have to go turn-based. I personally, I'm just a stickler for the classics in that respect. And what I will say about that though is I have zero problem with the new style as well. And there are games out there that have kind of merged them a little bit. I'm thinking of the Yakuza Like a Dragon style, where you can still kind of move about a little bit as well. But ultimately, yeah, I'm a stickler for the classics. I just think there's a lot more strategy. There's a lot more to think about with that sort of stuff. Whereas, like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like with the new sort of Final Fantasy stuff, I just feel like I'm button bashing a lot of the time. Whereas, like, I don't know, sometimes I have to think about, right, okay, if I do this now, will I have enough time to get around the party before that person may die or something like that. I was playing
Yeah.
Final Fantasy IX, for example, the other day, and I thought I was safe, and I wasn't safe. You know, and I game overed that a few times before I could figure out the pattern. So that's kind of why I stuck with turn-based as being my favorite, because it's just a lot more head with it. I like that.
I'll add into that, but whilst it's fresh in my head, I don't know if you've seen it. It's only was announced today, and I reckon it's to do with Final Fantasy IX.
Oh, okay.
Ever Crisis, Final Fantasy, a Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. It's having a crossover event with Final Fantasy IX.
Ooh, okay.
Now, what's been in the Nvidia leak? What's still not been announced out of all the Square Enix stuff? Final Fantasy IX Remake has not made an appearance. Does this kind of not balance out now? We're starting to see a crossover with Final Fantasy IX. Could we see an announcement soon?
I hope so.
Yeah, that just popped in my head. I saw it this morning, so I thought I'd just bring it up.
Yeah.
In regards to the whole turn-based, action-based, I said it to the likes of Colin Lack before. I'm more into the camp of action-based nowadays, and that's purely down to time that I have now. I find that having combat, action-based combat, I can do quicker, so I can get through stories quicker. But modern JRPGs, the turn-based ones, do have a lot of player-friendly functions. So what I mean by this is you can speed up your turns, like with the Final Fantasy VII ports as well, and Final Fantasy VIII, you can put auto limit breaks on. Not that I play that version, I always play the PS1 version on the PS Vita.
Yeah.
But there's I've just seen an example in here. Bravely Default 2, you can speed up the combat, and they can get through a fight like in seconds. Trails of Cold Steel does it as well, but I think as well with like some Nier Automata, which I played in full this year, that style of combat really pulled me across to that side.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is immaculate. But also playing Star Ocean Second Story R just now, and that's an older style of action-based combat. That's fantastic. So that's why I'm on that side of the fence. But I mentioned two titles there, Star Ocean and Final Fantasy VII Remake. So my poorly said segue is retro or modern?
Well, that kind of links into what we were just talking about a little bit for me, because I absolutely love retro JRPGs, RPGs. I think they're amazing. But again, there are a lot of modern ones that I'm kind of exploring for the first time. So like, again, like I just mentioned then about the Yakuza Like a Dragon, I've been playing a little bit of that, and I am thoroughly enjoying myself. What I will say though is I am also enjoying going back and playing some older games on newer systems. So for example, I recently played through Live Alive, or Live Alive, however you want to say it, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But obviously that's an older game that's been remade. There's a lot of old RPGs that I never got to check out that are being released and remade. So I don't know where that would stand in that, because they're old games, but they have kind of been remade for modern systems. So
yeah,
I just let me play the games. I don't care old or new, if I'm truthfully honest with you. I just want to experience some of these fantastic games that some of them have been around for years, some of them are brand new.
Like Star Ocean, I keep on bringing it up because that's what I'm playing just now.
Yep.
Star Ocean Second Story R, that remake is just immaculate. It's basically the same gameplay. It's the same game, but all the graphics have just been overhauled massively. So like, because a lot of people were saying, oh, it's HD 2D. It's nowhere near 2D, HD 2D. It's completely different. Like the backgrounds, which were kind of like Final Fantasy VII. I can't remember, not static. I can't remember the term. But it was just kind of like a picture with the character. Across. This is like towns, etc., are fully 3D now, with a camera which flows with it.
That's amazing.
The world map is so in the PSP remake, and it's on my shelf here.
Yep.
So on the PSP remake of it, or remastered, the world map was similar to the likes of Final Fantasy VII's. You know, that kind of blockiness, etc.
Yeah.
But the new world map, which has been done on this, is just amazing. Like, it looks total night and day compared to it. When it comes to the modern JRPGs, I do like my modern JRPGs. One thing I will say, like Final Fantasy 16, right? I did like that game, don't get me wrong. But the problem I felt with that is the open areas didn't really have much to do in it. So you basically had your hub world, you did your task, and then you went back.
Yeah.
And there was like, it felt like there was no reason to go back into the open world sort of areas unless you had a reason to. And I think with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that's kind of addressing that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
From
definitely.
what I've seen in the trailers.
Yeah.
I've kind of gone off in a tangent here.
It's okay. Yeah.
But
I know what you mean. A lot of the older sort of stuff, they sort of fleshed that stuff out. So it's weird how in 16 they didn't really go into depth for that. I mean, the areas that you got to play were incredible. But yeah, it was a lot more closed off than I expected in terms of that. Especially like when you said like older games, you could like, there were world maps, all right, they were blocky and stuff like that, but you could walk around it, you could explore. Do you know what I mean? There was a lot more reason to. So yeah, that was definitely a bit of an oddity. But one of the other things I was just going to say as well, in terms of like modern and retro, is there's a lot of games coming out now that are kind of based around the retro market and retro sort of style, but in modern day sort of thing, but for old systems. So, sorry to just to finish up there, I was just going to say one of the games that I recently, well, I say recently, it was a good couple of years ago now, it was before the pandemic, but there was a game called Dragonborn, and that came out for the Game Boy. And that was a relatively new JRPG. It's kind of like Skyrim on the Game Boy.
Right.
And that's a really fun RPG to play. You know, for me, it's a big crossover, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Is I don't look at it as old versus new, old, because even like down to like older games, there's like, for example, with the Mercury mod for Final Fantasy IX, that's how I'm playing Final Fantasy. It's through Steam. But with a mod on it that it brings in all these HD worlds and all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, for me, it's just about checking out the games. I don't care whether they're old or brand new. I want to experience it all. It doesn't bother me. You know?
That Meguri mod, is it Meguri? How do you pronounce it?
Maguru, I don't know.
Mr.
Mr. McGoogle, I don't care. Yeah, you know what I mean. The Maguri, I think it is.
The Meguri mod looks awesome. Public Enemy on his channel's got a whole playthrough of it. If anyone wants to go actually check out footage of it, I think he played the whole game with it.
It's incredible.
I remember Eric streaming it as well for a little bit, and that was, it looked pretty awesome. Okay, moving on to the next question. JRPGs, in my eyes, have some of the best soundtracks going, right? But like Highlander, there can only be one. I've probably got the quote wrong, but hey ho. What is your favourite JRPG soundtrack?
I mean, it's so hard. So there, in terms of like soundtracks and stuff like that, there are so many great JRPG soundtracks out there. I mean, I've never played Persona 5, but I've listened to that soundtrack quite a bit. That's pretty cool. I definitely like that one. But it always comes back to Final Fantasy VII. It's a soundtrack that I've listened to since I was a kid, and I still listen to now. So and I just think it's fantastic, and all the variations of it as well. Like, I've listened to the orchestral versions. I can't remember the band now that did it. There's another band that did covers, and I listened to that regularly. Eric's album is fantastic. Retro Game Remix's version of
Wait. Do you hear something?
Right, and that's what I mean. I've got so many great memories attached to that album as well, and things like that. It resonates with me, and Nobuo Uematsu is just, he's just one of the best. No, you're fine. It's just one of the most iconic albums out there, and I don't think you can really tell me. I mean, this is all subjective, but you can't really tell me that there's any album better out there for a JRPG. Like, the second you get into it, you know, even with the fight battles, you know, the I'm just like, it just gets me so excited. And yeah, there's just something about that album, that music, it really just gets me hyped. So yeah, it's always going to be Final Fantasy VII. As much as I'd like to say, you know, the Earthbound soundtrack, or, you know, the Ys soundtrack. Don't get me wrong, the Ys soundtrack for Ys 8 is also phenomenal. Highly recommend you go check that out if you haven't. But yeah, no, it's always going to be Final Fantasy VII.
A bit of Sunshine Coast.
Sunshine Coast, come on. I'm still waiting for that. I'm still waiting for that cover, but oh yeah. Oh,
you said there wasn't going to be a better album.
Well, no, it's all the same difference, though, isn't it? Let's face it, John. Let's face it. It's all the same difference.
I just dropped that on my Switch.
What'd you do that for?
I dropped it by mistake.
Don't treat baby like that.
Oh no!
What are you doing? Have you dented it?
Pick it off. Busted.
Oh no!
Excuse the swear.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is a banger from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite soundtracks on top of the Final Fantasy VII remake one is actually Trails of Cold Steel soundtrack.
Yep.
That has just got so many awesome tracks on there. So my final question for today. 2024, I know what the answer is going to be with this one, but I've still got to ask it. 2024 has got some awesome games lined up already for the likes of Persona 3 Remake and Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, for example. But what upcoming JRPG are you most looking forward to? And actually, I'll throw this in as well. It doesn't have to be 2024 because there's still a couple of extra games coming out before the end of the year. So,
I mean, yes, of course it's going to be Rebirth. It's never going to be anything else. I am beyond hyped for that game. But what I will say is you're absolutely right. There are some great JRPGs coming out. Even like as of right now, you know, the one game that's kind of getting me back into the idea of playing my Switch again is the Super Mario RPG, because that is a game that's getting me really hyped. Like you said, Star Ocean is another one that's just released. That's another great game that I'm looking forward to. In terms of like games that are you talking about just what game am I looking forward to, or what series I'd like to see, or
like,
you know?
So what's the one game that you just have to get like now? If you could get now, you know.
Oh no,
the upcoming game.
It's gonna be Rebirth, yeah. like legitimately, what they're doing with that series at the moment has got me really excited. There is so much up in the air, and it's very much like I just want to know what the story is. I want to play through every second of this and just get into it, because when Final Fantasy Remake came out, that was very much the same thing. I remember just not being able to put it down, just so intrigued with the story, and then after finishing it, I just wanted to go back and play it again, you know. And it's It's fantastic. So yeah, that was always going to be the. I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer, but that is genuinely the game that I am most hyped for coming out.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen so far, it looks just awesome. What the information we've been told about it so far has been ace, and kind of like proven a lot of the points I've said in one of my previous videos about my predictions. One of the games which I do like the look of next year is, have you seen Grand Blue Fantasy Relink at all?
Yeah, that game does look good. That game does look phenomenal. There was another game actually that kind of caught my attention that I wasn't expecting. It's made by the guys who made that Genshin Impact. I don't know. It's called Zone. No, it's Zone Zenless something or other. It's ZZZ.
Oh, yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
There was something about that game that got me real excited, real hyped. I was like, "Oh, that game looks amazing." So, I if I had to defer from the obvious answer, I would say that game looked pretty cool, and I would like to know when that comes out and check it out, because I don't think there's an actual release date, to my knowledge, anyway. But that game looked amazing. So yeah.
I reckon, however, it'll probably be a gacha game. To get your wallet ready.
I don't know, because I don't think they alluded to it being a free game or anything like that. But yeah, it is a Genshin Impact game. That's a game I've never played, by the way. But again, that I only knew it was because they were like, oh, Genshin Impact, then this game, then there was another game that they did as well. They announced 3 in a row, and they're obviously all by the same team, so they all look kind of similar. They all look play-wise kind of similar. But there was something about that really stuck with me, because I like I said, it's not often that I watch these things and I go, oh yeah, cool, that looks all right. And then I don't really think about it unless they announce it, and it's like, yeah, this is coming out next week. But with that game, it's stuck in my brain, and I was like, that actually looks like a lot of fun. So, yeah. That would be my choice then, outside of Final Fantasy VII.
Well, I mean, I knew this was going to be a Final Fantasy VII in-centric video, but you know what? I always have to give the benefit of the doubt. So, you have answered all my questions in JRPGs and Me. So, is there anything you want to plug for your channel whilst I've got you on? Any upcoming videos everyone can be excited to check on your channel? D-Review ting, 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 ting.
Thank you very much on the ting ting ting, as you put it. Yeah, so obviously on the YouTube channel, we tend to do like reviews and different things like that. We've recently been to America, and there is some quite significant content coming out around that. So we went over to Portland, Seattle. We went to a retro gaming expo over there. We're going to be checking that out. We're going to be doing a pickups video because there's an obscene amount of stuff that we got there. And then we're going to be doing just like kind of like a vlog thing. And then there's quite a few things that were picked up over there that are going to lead to other projects, other things. So this, I was saying to you before we started this, the amount of stuff we got coming up is actually quite stacked at the moment. So I'm looking forward to that. We also do a podcast called the DRT Show. I know, I was like, D-Review Ting Show? Nope, DRT Show. The DRT Show, which you can find on any of your podcast platforms. We also do it on YouTube as well. And that's just me and my buddy Graham just shooting the shit, really. We're talking about games and news and different things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, and we're on Instagrams, we're on all the other social media garbage, all that fun stuff, you know, whatever.
It's always hilarious listening to the podcast because Graham can get so angry. It's so funny, and he can just go off in an utter tangent. And him being Scottish as well, because I understand everything he says, like absolutely every little phrase, everything. So I understand every little bit of context when he's getting so angry and worked up about something.
I know.
The average listener will be like, what's he on about?
The amount of people that I've met that have listened to the podcast and gone, I thoroughly enjoy listening to it, but half the time I don't understand what Graham's saying. And I'm like, oh man, like, what? I understand everything he says as well. But that's not even him full angry as well. Like I'd say that's only about 20% of him really being angry, which is hilarious as well. Because he gets even worse when he's like proper raging. But no, it's good fun. It's something we thoroughly love doing every week. It's just a blast. So yeah.
Imagine getting Graham on this. It would be it wouldn't really go too well. It'd be like, what's your favourite JRPG? I don't like JRPGs.
I mean, unless you're talking about Zelda or some nonsense that's Nintendo 64, I don't think you'll get a lot out of him, to be honest with you. And what JRPG came out on there? Oh yeah, Quest 64. You know, the guy was doomed from the beginning, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Anyway, does it have any LED lights on it?
I mean, he loves his LED lights. If you're into lighting, he's your boy.
The amount of times I'll send him a message saying, yeah, but does it have LED lights?
And it's true, because 9 times out of 10, he'll mod systems, he'll mess about with the stuff. By the way, that's all on the YouTube channel as well. Is Graham just tinkering with stuff? He makes USB-C mods and stuff like that. But he will put LEDs pretty much in anything that he can. Anything that's got a motherboard with a ground. You know, and all that. He's just throwing LEDs in it. He's like, definitely not enough LEDs in that. I think it was the Sega video you even commented on. It was like, not enough LEDs. And then he done an update and there was like loads of LEDs on it. It was brilliant.
He needs a pair of my shoes that I've got from a band.
I've seen them.
The LED lights in it.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's funny because our last gig as well, this guy came up because it was going on. It was being live streamed, and there was a guy came up on stage saying what bands were on, and he called us the Aberdeen's. I think it was Aberdeen's premium. Light up shoe band or something like that.
The light up shoe band.
Yeah.
What a name. What a name.
So yeah, so there we go. I will leave it there now, I think. But once again, thank you for coming on, Jaymz. Please make sure to follow Jaymz at his channel DReviewTing. Make sure to like, share and subscribe to her channel, and I'll leave you with this last thought. Why have you given up on the PSP?
Damn you, John.